Tony, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm exhausted.
Exhausted?
Yeah, I'm wiped out, man.
From what?
Kids rule.
Kids
everything.
drool.
Meow, meow,
Kids
meow.
drool.
No, wait, kids rule, right?
Oh,
Meow,
you said
meow.
cats. I thought you said kids.
Yeah. Parents just take it over.
Well, isn't it from? Is it from Homeward Bound? Right? Cats rule, dogs drool.
Cats rule, dogs drool. Oh. Have we started? You playing with us today?
That was intense.
Yeah, take over for Dad. Here we go. Ready? Sounds about right. Jeff, you're sounding kind of crunchy over there. Or is that still just your preamp?
Can you hear that?
Are you talking to me, Eric? What are we doing?
Can I make an audio suggestion for the group? Everybody take your outputs down about 6 dB.
Done.
Yes. Probably better.
Do you hear this?
I do think. Yep. I hear crunch,
Yes?
crunch. Crunch, crunch. Yes, I do. Is Tony there?
I see a patch. I just don't see a person.
Oh, that was Tony.
So I haven't go showed both.
I heard Tony go.
It's me. It's me. Do you hear me?
That's you.
Yeah, that's me. Do you hear me?
I heard.
Yep, that's good.
How are we doing, fellas? Should we start soon?
Mm-hmm.
I am ready anytime. No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Hang on.
Thank you for making me.
Hey, Nick, are you getting my toggles?
I am.
Great. Jeff, you getting my toggles?
Someone spin. Eric, spin your toggle for me. Spin it for me. I'm not getting your toggle.
I'm on and off.
Yeah, I'm not getting any toggles.
Okay, I just got it. Yep, I got it.
Are you connected to the server?
And Nick,
Great.
Oh, I
you
got
getting
just
a
got
toggle?
Eric's there. I got Eric. There's Eric.
Great.
I got one just a second ago. Yeah.
Jeff, send me one. Toggle
all right,
me
I'm
on.
gonna send
Toggle me
to
off.
somebody.
Oh, it's a
This should
slider. Great.
That
Nick,
should be toggle.
That's me.
Crap. I don't have a toggle set up. I need a toggle,
That's right.
don't I? Do I have a do I
Nick,
need
we
a
already know
toggle
yours is
for
working.
yours,
Tony, you
Eric?
I can toggle.
I'm toggling you.
I'm not getting anything from Tony.
I'm toggling you right now. Is that? I'm clicking the to Eric one.
No, I'm not getting anything.
I'm clicking it. I'm
Remind me,
clicking
what's
it.
49? It's 1, 2, 3, correct? Those are our toggles, are 1, 2, and 3. Hello?
Yes.
Eric, Jeff is asking you something.
I think it is that. I'm pretty sure. It's 1, 2, keys 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Yeah, I'm pressing one like a madman right now. I'm toggling between 1 and 2. Nothing.
Are you guys getting stuff from Tony?
Yeah, I just got one. I'm getting something right now that says from Tony, but it's not from me. But I think it's from Jeff, maybe.
That's from me. Yeah.
I got a little from Jeff there. Here's me. Watch me work this.
I'm not getting anything.
That's an Eric and Nick. I don't think I have a Jeff one. Who knows? Hold on, I'll add a Jeff boy.
It should toggle to Nick. You getting a toggle from me?
All right, Jeff. Toggles coming at you, baby. Oh, hold on. Sorry, I haven't hooked it up yet.
Hey, Nick,
Okay.
are you getting a toggle from me?
I'm gonna toggle. Jeff.
You are, okay.
Oh, what? Hold on. That was
So one thing we need to figure out is which patches actually need toggle, or are we going to try to set it up so that everyone needs toggle at some point, so that we get in the habit of using toggle to play?
Why don't we say that everyone uses toggle?
Okay, so we need to make an adjustment to the pitch shift so that it works, so that the toggle has an impact.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's not hooked up. Oh, man, come on.
And I need to set it. Are you going to adjust your pitch shift object, Nick, or do you want me to just to make essentially a bypass for it?
I can adjust it if you want, but if it's faster for you, then you could probably do it just as quickly as I could.
I just need to make, essentially it's a gate is all I'm going to use, right?
Yeah.
Is that going to make a click noise when it gets on off though?
Oh, are you saying that? Are you gating the audio, or are you gating the control value?
So gate the control, essentially gate the pitch shift in change so that if the toggle is not on, that way it would just keep doing it at the pitch shift adjustment.
Right.
So you have to hit the pitch shift, but why would we even bother doing that? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if the only reason to put a toggle on
Mm-hmm.
is to turn the effect on or off. If I'm just going to use it to change the slider knob, then it's worthless because the slider knob isn't going to change until you move it. I guess the one thing you could do, I take it back, is if you turn it on and off, you could jump to different pitch values.
Right.
So that's the reason. Okay, I'll do that.
Okay.
I'll just gate the input for the pitch shift thing.
I don't know what my window is where my OBS Ninja view is. I can't see anybody.
Okay, I think I have toggles set up and I have knobs set up for everybody. That's a good sound right there. Well done, whoever that is. That was excellent.
Oh, because it's still being re. Oh, okay.
Right back.
This is can't see anybody's faces.
Yeah, man. Get in the face.
Put your faces up.
Wow.
Put my face up.
Whoa. What is that? What is that?
Where'd Eric go? Hmm?
What song?
The band
Just
Space
ask-
Hog.
Yeah, I saw Space Hog in concert in what was it? God, 95 maybe. They opened. They played with a band called God Lives Underwater, which they had one good album. I haven't listened to that album in probably 15 years. I probably still have it someplace. I need to listen to that again. I like God Lives Underwater. Space Hog had one hit. What was their hit?
Love the all of you.
Yeah. I heard that in concert. Yes, that was it.
Lands are green and skies are blue.
I think that was a hit, and they might have been the headliner, but all they had was one hit.
I
I also saw Filter back then. Remember the band Filter?
Yes.
I saw Filter around the same time.
Hey man, nice
What was the name of the
shot.
place I used to go see them in Boston?
I was very into Space Hog when I was 14 or 15. And
I didn't like them very much. They had that one hit, and then they were kind of like mediocre otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
Am I being processed by somebody? I was.
I think Nick is.
I like it when I get processed. It's good. Yeah, Space Hog. Holy shit. They came out wearing. God, I can remember seeing them. They had like I want to say some looked like northern winter giant fur kinds of boots or something like that. Maybe
Uh-huh.
I think they had like really thick fur boots. Okay, so what are what's the phrase when you like what's the debrief comments from that jam out?
Can I be frank?
Of course.
That was a lot of hot garbage, is what that was.
No worries.
Well, I think
Don't worry about it.
I think that notwithstanding,
Your sentiment this weekend should be one of joy,
that's true.
unfettered
true.
joy. That's all you should be experiencing all weekend. So don't let
Yeah.
this tarnish you. Unfettered joy is what you deserve.
I'm speculating, but I think that we're hitting the limitations of this setup, which is, when we were broadcasting just our faces and audio, It's great. As soon as we started putting screens into the screen captures into it, it started being a problem.
In what sense?
I don't know about on your side, but the audio on my side is terrible.
Yeah, I have to
Okay.
use other people's audio from most of my instruments, so yeah, I definitely feel that.
I mean, if you go back 2 weeks, our audio quality is great. And last week there were some weird issues. And then tonight it's just like, I mean, I hear my guitar locally, so I just assume it sounds as bad going to you guys as you guys sound coming into me.
Your guitar doesn't sound bad to me.
That's good.
It sounded, what I heard tonight was, in terms of the sound quality, I didn't experience anything bad. I thought that we didn't make as many musical choices I was into tonight compared to even earlier and in other weeks, but it wasn't, I didn't have a problem with the audio on my end. There was the balance was not right. Tony was loud to me, but that was just balance. I didn't have like clipping or distortion issues that y'all are talking about.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, there's compression artifacts that I'm hearing that weren't there before. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, do you want to do something where you test it essentially with just like direct ADC, no effects, nothing, and just like test tone, send a sine tone at this level, put your volume at, like, we could do something like that to try to get a balance between all of us.
I think balance would be a good idea. I don't know how.
Like we could send noise, pink noise from everyone's sound, and then say, okay, great,
So
send it this.
Even
That's
right
how you
now,
balance.
even right now,
I don't
your
know.
voice is bubbling, and that wasn't
Okay.
happening before. And by that I
Well,
mean, like,
I adjusted the gain on my voice because you told me I was too quiet before.
no, it's like cutting in and out. It's like there's a
Yeah,
technical issue of some kind.
I
And
have
I'm
no idea
wondering
what
if
that
it's a
is.
screen capture issue.
Do you think
So-
the audio is different when we screen capture versus?
I
regular?
think that when we're screen capturing, we're sending a lot more data than we were when we're just sending this low resolution webcam.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the audio is suffering for that.
You want me to re-log in as normal voice and see how it sounds?
Yeah, pop back in with just your webcam and not your
Okay, sure.
patch. Tony, why didn't you sleep in today, man? Did you? That's good.
Oh.
Oh no. Sure. Oh yeah, yeah. I think they're learning things as they go. Of like, oh, we're supposed to tell.
That's classic. Standard classic behavior right there.
So I have to now write all these units to like Deanna. And I still use this photo or get later. I have to hunt down who owns the rights to this photo that was in an article cited. And within a week.
Come up with a backup plan.
That doesn't sound right. That sounds wrong to me.
How about an artist rendering of the image that you wanted to use?
Some of the stuff I could do, but like one of them is like I'm referring to a specific research report and these specific graphs. I don't think it'll be hard to get his permission, but I'll have to. With the ones that'll be really tough to do that.
Backup plan.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just annoying that Jesse looked at this for weeks.
Yeah.
That's the way it
Typical
works right there.
Jesse.
I'll never forget the time I went to defend my thesis at FIU, and I had sent them my paper and I had done all this stuff and whatever, and then I showed up, and the weekend that I was defending, they all of a sudden had all this shit that they wanted me to do. I had to have individual meetings with each of the faculty, and they went that weekend, the day before my defense, and they like gave me this long list of all these corrections they wanted to make, and I'm like, you've had this fucking paper for 3 months. Like, don't tell me the day I show up. But they all did it. And then they gave it back to me, and I'm like, well, I'm not getting this to you next week. They're like, all right. So it was annoying, but yeah, that's typical.
I remember when we were in, when I was in George Forenz's arranging class, the final project was just do an arrangement for either orchestra or wind band of whatever. And he was very specific about, like, you have to have the rights to do this arrangement. So my good friend Trevor was like, I'm going to do a Rush song. Wait, did he do Rush or? Yeah, I think he did Rush. He did Rush. And I was.
So did George give him an F or something?
He gave him something that was less than an A, specifically because he didn't get the rights for it. And I remember it was one of the very few moments of clarity I've had in my entire life where I went, boy, like artistically, creatively, I really want to arrange, like, I don't know, a Space Hog song, right? But I'm going to do a Christmas song that is in the public domain because I don't want to deal with this shit. And you know, I still tried to do a good job of it, but it was definitely one of those moments where I was kind of like, do I really want to deal with that? I don't. So I arranged Patapan because it was in the public domain, you know, so I didn't have to deal with it. And Trevor got, at the best, he got a C. He might have failed. He might have given him F for that project.
George Friends, man, classic. He retired. Hey, I got a quick question. So you look like crap, Eric. Everybody else looks great. Is that because you have some shit system for OBS Ninja, or the group video can't really be used to ascertain video quality because the group video is intentionally throttled to keep it constant. Each video feed is put into the stream individually. So the video quality in the stream is considerably better than what it looks like in the group chat. So what I'm looking at right now is just random.
Not random, but yeah.
Random.
Yeah.
Not indicative of what's happening.
Right. It's kind of one of those
no correlation between actuality and what I'm experiencing. That's what you're telling me.
Kind of, yeah.
Even though you look continuously like shit and everybody else looks continuously good.
I don't know why I would specifically be looking bad, but
this is why I mention it.
yeah, I don't know why I would look bad. Everything else
You
looks
look
good.
very pixie, and everybody else is bright and clear.
Yeah.
You're so pixie, Eric.
Pixie.
You're a
Manic Pixie Dream Girl. The
Classic
streaming, the video that's going out to stream, like if I flip over to my desktop, to my other window that's in the logged into the Windows computer, the videos look fine from all of us. I mean, they don't look great because we're on webcams in low light.
So it is no correlation. Okay, great. So what's next? What are we doing?
I'm gonna request that we go to that we don't do a screen capture next week.
What's a stream capture? What are you talking about?
Screen
capture. Are you talking about you want to do this version instead of the version that I was using where you saw my patch? Okay.
I think that is causing problems. I think that one of the issues with Macs specifically, which we're all using, is that a lot of the window capturing programs don't know how to deal with the high resolution displays. They're putting out video that's quadruple the resolution of what we think it is. I think that's what's causing the problem.
Okay.
And I'll say that I have.
So we're going back to audio only. So we have to be basically doing everything via audio rather than, we have to do everything by our ears and by our knowledge of what's happening instead of, we're not going to get lights and things to tell us what we're doing. Because I did this time, I will say this time I was looking at your screen in particular, Eric, because I could see the Jeff toggle and I could see the Jeff slider. And so I would look at it, although it was about 5 seconds behind me, 4 seconds behind me.
Right.
Which was weird. Because I didn't get the impression that the audio is actually 4 seconds behind me.
Mm-hmm.
So in some ways the video reassurance to tell me what I was doing wasn't there anyway, because it wasn't in real time.
That's a good point. I mean, like, we want these feedback channels to be there, but the reality is we're still butting our heads up against the technological limitations. Like the fact that that Twitch stream we did today looked as good as it did is kind of surprising. Like if you really think about it. I mean, think about all the Zoom meetings and the Google Meets that you've been on in the last few months, and they're all garbage, right? Like we're getting there. We're getting close. We're getting to the point where like the audio quality is getting there. We're figuring out like what makes sense with the video. But I think the reality is like we're still hitting the limitation. We're not going to be able to see. You're not going to be able to see on my screen when you hit a button. It's going to be 5 seconds delayed at best. That's just the technological limitation. So we need to work within the technological limitation, which is that if we're going to stream our screens, I think we have to do them at very low resolutions, really tiny windows where they're not even usable to you as a performer. So there's questions about that. Or we just go back to webcams.
You know, the one thing that I do feel is helpful is, and it might change if we really clearly understand what the audio what the impetus is. But like I know, for example, I know when Eric is playing his guitar, like I can hear that. That's clear. It's less clear what Nick is doing in particular, because I know he's using our stuff back. And so if I'm going to go use one of my toggle knob combos, it's odd to just do it without any sense of if it's going to have an effect or not. Like if it's actually going to, like I don't mind doing it where I'm not sure what it's changing, but it does feel weird to do it when there's no signal to even act upon. You know, like that just seems somehow strange. Like the idea that I could put down my instrument the way, and then say I'm going to try to contribute in some other way, and I'm actually not doing anything at all for a minute because Tony just was choosing not to play for a minute, and then I'm just literally pissing in the wind. So what was there was a book I was just reading. What did he say? Pissing up a boner? No, I can't remember.
Pissing up a tree? Is it pissing up a tree?
It's not pissing up a tree. There was some specific phrase I should remember because it was important.
What?
It's called Bubblegum.
Judy Blume?
No. I'm reading a book called Bubblegum by Adam Levine, which has been really fun. In fact, I will say
Did he come out
this.
with a new book finally?
He did. It's excellent. And
Nice.
I recommend it highly. There's about a 3 or 4 page segment where he talks about how fisting is one of the great achievements of the 20th century.
And he's probably very convincing too. You probably read those 3
It's
pages
brilliant.
and go,
It's
"He's
like
got a
it's
point."
constantly this kind of stuff. You're just like, oh my god, it's so good.
What?
Did I ever
It's
tell you-
it's in its own. It's really good.
Did I ever
The
tell you
guy
about
releases
when,
like one book every 10 years. That's all.
What
He's
was the
released 2
big book
books.
called? The instructions.
The instructions. Yeah.
Did I ever tell you about when I was on a flight and the flight attendant saw the book and she said, "Oh, I just saw him in concert."
Yes. Because it's Adam Levine instead of Adam Levine. Yes. No, I
Oh,
remember you telling me
yeah,
that.
yeah,
I remember you telling me that. Yeah, his new book, it just came out in April. It's been like I was telling Ellie the other day, I've been reading this for about 3 weeks now, and my life is like 5% better just because I'm reading this book. And then when
That's
it's
a lot.
over, my life is going to go down like 5%. This is nothing like, because there aren't that many books that can do this to me, but this is one of them. It's been pretty special.
Is it also 1,200 pages?
No, it's only like 800. So shorter. So what I was saying, like the reassurance of knowing what's happening, or knowing that there is input, would be nice. It'd be nice. Like I said, I made that light thing,
Yeah.
and I do think there's something to about like, is there signal happening that I can affect? That would be
Yeah.
nice to know. That's the only thing I can think of. Other than that, if we can get to that stage, I would like it. Just to say like, okay, Nick is making sound now that can be processed. Because if I was sitting next to him, I could see that. But if not, and I don't even know what he's processing, like he's choosing our other inputs, I don't even know what he's doing.
What if we use Collab-Hub to give you on your own patch?
That would be great. Yeah, there just needs. It doesn't have to be in the OBS Ninja window.
I was going to say, if the web interface could be leveraged to be a feedback device,
Mm-hmm.
like we're all using Max as our input source, or that's where we're doing our controls, but
Mm-hmm.
like if there would be a way to, all right, these 4 people are in a room, so display all of their controls in a web page. Has nothing to do with a video stream. That's just meant as a feedback channel for them. It would be nice if there was more than just seeing the sliders that were moving. If there was a way to see the audio.
Yeah. I mean, like Jeff's using that red light to say that
Yeah.
there's signal coming into his audio stream. We could probably do the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's just an on-off. It's just I'm taking the output of whatever Pcamp every 8 times a second to see if there's input, and it's either on or off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that would be pretty. I'm not gonna say easy, but I think that fits within the structure of this system for sure. Interesting. Is
That's
there a
that.
way?
I mean, I did try to use the OBS Ninja page to give me some sense of what people were doing. I mean, I looked at Tony's patch and I could tell that it was happening because I could see the thing, like the little sound file, and it was flipping around, and so I could tell when it was making noise, and so I tried to impact that, although I couldn't figure out how I was. But I was
don't know if I
using
hooked it even. I don't even know if I hooked it up right.
well, but I
Right,
was saying
but
like
yeah.
I could see that there was signal, and I
Sure,
used
sure.
it. The point is, I'm trying to say like I definitely looked for that.
Right.
I looked for that reassurance, a visual reassurance that there was signal to be processed,
Mm.
because that encourages me. You know, like then there were times when what would happen is I would make noise for a while, contribute how I could contribute, and then I would either lay out because I felt like I didn't need to make a noise, I didn't have anything useful to say, and then I would say, well, okay, what can I do? And in part, you know, like the original thought is like until you hear something, you just sort of wildly flip a knob. Well, I don't really want to do that either, because that's not musical. So I'm trying to think, well, how can I interact in some way that is there and make a choice or do something? And then I was at least looking to see who's active and trying to. What I was hoping to do is move something and hear a sound and then catch and then start to improvise with that. That's what I was encouraged to do, and I was mostly unsuccessful tonight in doing so.
Mm.
But yeah, I think if there's a way to get a visual representation of audio signal happening, that would be good. And I do think it's probably worth. I don't want to be the person that steers this in a direction, because I do think that there's a lot of interesting directions. But when we make or interesting possible directions. But for the performance in a month, if we're going to be somehow morphing into other people's ideas or playing ideas, are we doing those on our own instrument, or are we doing those somehow with the collab sliders? And that's an unknown piece to me at this point.
Can you repeat that last sentence?
Can I what?
Can you
Can you
repeat
repeat
that
it?
last sentence?
Chance of that is very slim.
Further back.
I was saying I like having something that tells me some visual reassurance of what I'm doing is helpful. I was also saying something about how we're playing these gestures or whatever, and we're slowly morphing into other gestures over time. And I'm not sure how the Collab-Hub fits into that, because I'm not sure how when I'm playing my instrument versus when I'm tweaking somebody else's thing.
Yeah.
And part of it is like, for example, if let's take those gestures that you made where you have like the dot, the rectangle that's filled in, and then like the dots afterwards or something like that. Like if I'm playing that in some way, and then this is morphing over time, is it morphing over time because I'm still playing it and somebody has changed my sound, or is it morphing because I'm playing a different gesture? Or is it morphing because somebody else has taken it and moved it into another sound? There's lots of different possibilities. I don't
I
know that it all needs to be specified, but
Well, no, I think this goes back to me arranging Patapan for arranging class. Like, let's just make some decisions that make this a little bit more manageable. 'Cause
sure.
then we can really like do some good things within that structure. I think there needs to be a director for this performance, and I nominate Nick. And what I
Alright.
mean by that is, let's say we have these these sketches that we're coming up with, and that's going to be our score. I think Nick needs to be the one in charge of how we move through the score. And maybe all that is that you have the button that every 2 minutes you press and it flips our page.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that means that we still have to have some time. We still have to decide, like, which images are we using, how many are we using. But I think it should be directed by a person, and I think Nick. I mean, if you don't want to do it, Nick, I'll do it. But I think that
Or
seems like
we devise a system. I think your idea of every 2 minutes it flips or something like that, that's a system that it doesn't need a director to do it. Like
that's true. It could be automated.
It could be an automated thing where we come up with the patch, is showing us I mean, you could easily build something in where we have images of scores that we're playing, and those images just pop up in our patch, and then every 2 minutes another one pops onto our page. And if we come up with a pre-existing structure where you have, let's say there's 8 different images or 6 of them, I don't know how long our piece is, but if there's 6 of them and they're 2 minutes each approximately, then you could just, one of them pops up, another one pops up, another one pops up. They could also be linked in the sense that the one that pops up for me first is going to pop up for Tony second, is going to pop up for Nick third, is going to pop up for Eric fourth. Like we could pre-make that, or we could also just have something that randomly generates it each time. That's a lot of effort, but could generate which page pops up or something, and then it's a structure that exists.
Yeah, I was telling Anna earlier tonight that the two structures that made sense to me within the concept of this ship of Theseus is that
Theseus.
the Seuss
Theseus.
is that we all start with an image, me A, Tony B, Nick C, Jeff D, and then that rotates every 2 minutes or whatever, so that now Tony's playing A, Jeff's playing, you know what I'm saying? Like, everyone
Yep.
switches which one they're playing. That's one way, right? Because the whole concept is that you're replacing pieces of the ship. So we're either swapping those, we're either giving, like, my part goes to you, your part goes to him, and it rotates, or what maybe is even more in the realm of the concept of the Seuss is we start with our 5. I'll say 5 because Anna's also doing video, and I'm assuming she's looking at a score. We start with 5 images, and we swap one out for one that's in a bank. right? We start with 5. Maybe we have 5 in a bank. So after a couple of minutes, one gets swapped out with a new one. After 2 more minutes, a different one gets swapped out with one from the bank, so that by the end, they're all different images. So we have a total of 10. We move through it so that one is swapped out every couple of minutes until we've completely changed them all out.
Sure.
Those are the 2 that made the most sense to me in terms of like how we would take these sketches or these motives and move through it. And yeah, that could totally be automated into the piece if we decide on a manner of doing that.
Mhm.
Those all make sense to me. I think the question I would have is, where am I on this versus where am I on that? And
I couldn't see your hand. I'm sorry.
where am I on the Moog, or where am I on the controller?
Yeah.
Or am I on both somehow simultaneously? Do I learn enough about how people's patches work that I can actually play them and make? Because we're talking about if we're talking about gestures, again, to go back to your gesture of the rectangles and the dots, I can make some rectangles and dots on there. I can't make rectangles and dots on my controller.
Sure.
I don't know how to make rectangles and dots on my controller. And I mean, I could, if I start to understand, I could maybe start to say, hold the toggle down longer and start playing Morse code on the toggle. But it's less clear. And maybe the controller is never used in the same way. Maybe the controller is only ever to impact somebody else's stuff.
Yeah.
Somebody else's gestures of those things. And maybe we could even have 2 scores. I mean, there could be score 1 is the gestures we're playing, and score 2 is the kinds of things we're doing to controller data that we're sending out, and in stage 1 we're wildly turning, and in stage 2 we're sweeping. I don't know.
That could be another way to interpret the concept, is like instead of you actually have 2 images, right? One is your instrument playing, and the other one is your controller instruction, and either they flop so that you're switching, like now my instrument score is now my controller score and vice versa, or one of the 2 of them gets swapped out with a bank image. So there are 2 scores that you follow.
I think it makes sense. And we could also I think you could use the same images. We could also have different images and say, these are controller images that are more physically connected to the kinds of controller things that you might do.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that makes sense to me.
I like the 2-track score a lot, because I think it's just to give shape to the idea that we're interacting with each other, give some shape to that, as well as just the musical part of it.
I agree.
Mhm.
By the way, Nick now looks like crap. Tony still looks pretty good.
Yeah, nice.
Eric looks like garbage.
It all looks good on the stream, baby. How many of us are on Ethernet?
I'm on Ethernet. That's why I'm hunched over at my kitchen counter.
That's why Tony looks good. Of course, I don't know why I look bad then.
Of course, you look like complete shit.
I think the idea of having a web page that loads with the group and shows the status of their audio and their controls is great. I think it's a good future goal. I don't think that's remotely feasible for this piece. So what I'm going to do is for next week, send out a new batch of patches, or B patchers or whatever, something you can slot into what you've got. That I think the toggle idea is not great. I think it should latch so that when you hit the 1 key, it toggles my thing on, and when you hit it again, it toggles it off instead of having to hold it. I don't know why I made it hold it.
That was Jeff's idea.
Hey, no, it wasn't. I said you could do whatever you wanted.
Okay, I'm gonna go
I
to the
said
other
it
way.
could work in any format.
I'm gonna go to the latch method, and the other is build in status lights into the patches as well. So we're sending 3 messages to each other now instead of just 2. We're sending a toggle, we're sending a slider, and we're sending a status.
And the status is audio's coming into that module.
The module that you are controlling. Yep. So
that'd
if
be awesome.
Nick, if you're controlling the pitch shifter on my patch, I'm gonna have a toggle coming in from you, obviously, to the pitch shifter. I'm gonna have a slider coming in from you to the pitch shifter. I'm also gonna send you back a status light for that pitch shifter.
That sounds fantastic.
I think that's the interim solution. I think it'd
Are you
be
going to
great.
use the little thing I sent you for status light?
I don't remember. I actually did you send it an email? Because I searched my email today and I
It's
couldn't
probably
find
not complicated enough, Jeff.
No, but it's so good. It's just
no,
P
I'm
camp.
saying it's probably great. but
It's just
kinda
not. It's not
enough.
complicated. I just want to know that I made a max patch that gets used in the Collab-Hub.
Did you send it an email? Because I searched my email for things from you and I couldn't find it.
I don't know where I put it.
Okay, I don't remember ever seeing it.
It's just P camp. It's a nice little object though. It's a little bee patcher.
Do you
I'll
wanna
send it to you
me
again.
Okay.
Yes, I
I'll
will.
use it.
Yay!
But yeah, exactly that. It should just send back whatever that is reporting back to the person who is controlling that thing. So it's a little bit more
That-
mental, like, chaos, right, in the patches, because you have to remember, like, I have assigned Nick to control my pitch shifter. That means I have to send the pitch shifter status back to Nick. That's on each of us to manage. So, like, I can build that capability into the demo patch, but you still have to be able to manage that yourself. So how many images we got?
Let's look at it.
Is it just mine and Anna's?
No, mine's in there somewhere. It's a
Mine's
PNG.
in
Yeah.
there too.
Oh,
Y'all, I cannot. I'm sorry.
You
I
gonna
love
go to bed?
y'all.
Go to bed.
I gotta pass out, y'all.
Go to bed,
Mine are
Tony.
mine are very abstract. We could talk about them some other time.
We're
but
gonna. We're gonna.
I'm
Well, I think
pass
we're
out.
wrapping up here soon anyway.
Okay.
Go to bed.
I love y'all.
Love
See
you,
ya, babe.
Tony.
See y'all.
See you,
I'll
Tony.
see you soon. Bye.
I like Anna's
What-
twisted xylophone.
What's the twisted xylophone?
It's like long bars that go like this.
Okay, sure. I think maybe.
Second half, no one is play your thoughts. Everyone's playing secondary thoughts. Is that
That's the thoughts thing. Yeah, that's
Who
next.
thought?
Nix's thoughts?
Mhm.
Those are nice. Thought. Oh shit. This photo editor.png one is maybe there's a couple of those, but one of them looks like the graphs Anna was working on for a dissertation.
What's photo editor.png? What? Oh. Yeah, that thing. Yeah. That's fine.
Great, cool. We got a good start.
Tony sent the ship drawing concept. Shipped concept drawings. Great. Yeah, I think if there's in practical terms, if we have, turn off my amp, the status light, that will help me a lot. And then I think just a really clear sense of what the toggle is doing. If we're gonna switch it back to, I mean, it could be instrument based. I mean, I can see for example on the pitch shifter, I could see a reason why, like I changed it on my end so that the pitch shifter functions as when the toggle is on the pitch shifter. Damn it, I can't see you people. When the toggle is on, the pitch shifter input happens. And then if you let go of the toggle, the pitch shifter input no longer happens. And the advantage of that is then you can move to another location and then turn it on and have it jump to that new location. Whereas if you have a toggle on, off, on, off, on, off, it's just more effort to do that same kind of musical gesture. But it also could be nice to just say it's off, and then you leave it there for a while. And you have to hold your fucking hand on the key, because what I found tonight is like I wanted to do something, but I had to push a key down and a knob, and I wanted to play the Moog, and I couldn't do that.
Yep.
So what I did was I turned up the sustain on the Moog or the decay on the Moog to be huge, so that I turned up the delay on my max patch to be huge, so that I could play one note and then go fuck around for a while, and then go play another note and go fuck around for a while, and it would get cycled through its delay system. But that's a workaround. I mean, I think any system we come up with, there's going to be a workaround. The question is, what's the most effective musical system?
There's some ergonomic things. I don't know. I mean, the only thing I don't like about if the toggle is only turning on whether or not you're affecting the control. The only thing I don't like about that is that a pitch shifter, like constantly on, just sounds.
Yeah, it's annoying because you're
terrible.
like, you're stuck with. I was stuck at one point where someone changed my pitch. I think it was Eric. He changed my pitch to be 5. So then I had to go to the Moog and turn it down to, in fact, still in that state. All of the oscillators are at like 32 foot, so that I could play in the normal range and they would still be in kind of in pitch.
Exactly.
That's what happened.
So we either need that. That's either another toggle, or we decide that the person at the player, I'm in charge of my own pitch shift being on or off. You can control it. You're the one who can fuck with it, but it's my decision whether it's on or off. I don't like that as much, but the alternative is that you have yet another control that you're sending to me.
Well, what we could do something which kind of, I think there's a way we could blend those, which is if you can take it at any time, but if you haven't messed with it for a while, I can just claim it back. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's say my pitch shift is currently at 5, and I'm like, oh shit, I can't, and Eric isn't messing my pitch shift anymore anyway. I can hit a button, push it back to normal, and then if you want to take it again, you can claim it by hitting something to restart. But maybe there's a way for me to claim it.
It's actually kind of already that way.
A reset button that brings it back to 1 and
yeah, just a reset. It sort of is already that way, except that I have to like go move the knob, and it's not all of them are like that. I guess they kind of are, but
I mean, I was turning my looper on and off at will tonight.
You were okay. I didn't use it. I was sort of leaving it open to Nick.
You were the one controlling my looper tonight.
Yeah, ineffectively.
You were doing the slider on it, but in terms of the
was.
toggle, I was just like, I want that thing to be on now. And the thing is, like, if you suddenly were like, no, I want it to be off, you could still have turned it off or on or whatever. Like, you still had control over it, but I was able to intervene. Maybe that's the way
I didn't have. So if I hit the toggle, it didn't turn your slider on, your looper on or off.
No, it still would. I just was also able to like change that decision. If you turned it on and I was like, all right, it's been on long enough, I can turn it off myself.
Oh, so Eric has already implemented what you want.
Well, not on purpose, but.
But I think that's important to understand. I think in some ways, I think we need to encourage the premise of this is you want to encourage people using the sliders and knobs on other people's patches. But how much do you want to be hampered by a really awful choice that they aren't even aware that they made? Like, that's the tricky part, is that someone is like, oh, doesn't even realize that I'm stuck at, 5 octaves above my normal spot, and I can't. And so I'm like impotent as a player. So how do you get around that? Like, there needs to be because they're busy thinking about something else. I do think there needs to be some sort of, maybe it's just a reset, and then if they come back, it just starts over again. They can reclaim it however they want, which I guess you said exists, but I want it to be in the form of a button that I hit as opposed to me going to the pitch shifter and turning it back down. I want to have a button reset, and then I think for the looper, it's there. I can just turn it off. For the V spreader, the new toggle that I made in the new version is that. The toggle that I added to V spreader Collab-Hub 2 or whatever essentially just turns it back off, and then you're back to normal. So I think that's what we just need to add one to the pitch shifter that's like it's off and you're back to normal pitch.
Sure.
Yeah, for me it was just a gate that had 2 outlets. One went to the pitch shifter and one didn't. The one that didn't passed on to the next out.
An audio gate.
Basically, yeah.
Does an audio gate make a clip when it goes between or no?
It depends on how you make it. like mine is not actually the gate tilde object. It's like
it's not gate tilde. Okay.
I use the multiplier.
There is
Uh-huh.
a non-clipping audio gate object. I forgot what it is. It's not
Yeah, I
called
would think
gate
there
though.
must be.
I use the multiplier and I put a low pass on the gating signal.
Okay.
And then my toggle of 0, 1 is just like that's what actually controls the gate. If it's 0, it's off. If it's 1, it's on. It's literally the toggle value that is going to the amplifier.
Mm.
I think Matrix tilde has some non-clipping element to it.
Say that again.
Matrix Matilda.
Yeah, I've used Matrix. Matrix is annoying. I use Matrix a lot, and because it works really nicely for that, but I found it so awkward because you have to send these 1, 1, 0, 1, and I'm always wrapping my brain around what message I'm sending it to turn on the appropriate tilde.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, Matrix tilde.
So what control-wise, we need a status light. We need a slider, which you've already got. We need a toggle for the effect being on or off, and both people can control it. Is that the way we're going to do it?
Well, yeah, I think so, because if like for pitch shifter, if Nick just puts a toggle on off that, whether it's matrix or gate or whatever, if he hits it, it's on. If he's in the control of the pitch shifter in my thing, and he hits it, it's active and it goes. And then if he forgets to turn it off, and I no longer want it to be pitch shifted, and he's no longer messing with my toggle, I can just turn it off. I mean, I could do it even while he's working on it, but he could always hit it again. What we're really trying to figure out is what to do if Nick isn't messing with my pitch shift anymore, and I want to be able to undo it because I'm stuck at 0.25.
Yeah, I mean, you can. The way that the patches are now, you can turn the pitch shifter off. What you can't do is just change the value yourself, because it's constantly polling for whatever value he last sent.
Yeah.
So if the last value he sent for the pitch shifter was like 2.5, and you're like, you know what, I'm going to move that slider. As soon as you move it, it's going to snap back
It
to
jumps
2.5.
back. That's what I say. That's the problem. It needs to be a system where it just routes it to a different area so that it's either on or off, and then he can turn it on, move, and it adjusts, and then it stays on, or he can turn it off and it jumps back to normal.
That's actually something that would be addressed in the new server stuff we're working on, but it's not going to be ready. And like, I don't think it's. I think we need to address this at the patch level for now. For the
I think you address it in the B patcher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It will be addressed in the server soon. But
You mean like what is there to address in the server level? I don't totally understand what there is.
Well,
to
because
address.
because right now it's pulling the control data constantly. If you try to intervene,
Yeah.
it's going to override what you did immediately. Whereas the new version that we're working on, it only sends new values when they're
made.
Put in. So
Okay.
as soon as I send you the value
I see.
1, if you're like, I don't like that, I'm going to change that.
Got
You're
it.
not going to. It's not going to
They'll
lock
get
up on you.
overridden.
So it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It functions differently than a normal control value.
Yeah.
Because a normal control value it only sends when it gets changed, not constantly. It's more like an audio signal or something. It's just sending constantly.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good
Yeah, that's a nice
comparison.
comparison.
It's like it's right now what we're sending out is like audio signals, so
Yeah.
they're not that fast, but
Right.
they're
Okay.
locked at whatever.
Okay. You guys are
But
looking
what I'll-
tired. Well, Eric is looking
Yeah.
tired. Nick
It's an
looks
hour
like $1
later here,
million.
baby. And fucking I think a new dog moved in next door, man, because our fucking dog has been the worst the last few days. This morning, she woke us up this morning barking. So I've been up longer than I intended to be.
You're not in a house? I thought you were in a house someplace. You're in an apartment?
We're in a house, but we have the next building, the apartment building next door is like,
It's close.
it's like that far from our bedroom window. It's so close.
Got it. Okay. I recommend the country.
I know, man.
I was telling Ellie the other day. I watched this movie the other night, Eye of the Needle. It's an early 80s movie based on a Ken Follett novel about World War II, which I've known about forever but never watched or read. And at one point in the movie, there are these people that are living on some island called Storm Island, which is a remote space, and they're just like sheep farmers or something. And there's nobody there, and it's a really strange remote location. And I was saying to Ellie, I was like, now is when I want to get like that caretaker job for a lighthouse. Just like, this is what I'm looking. This is what I want to do.
Isn't that what the dude was doing in Moonrise Kingdom? There was the one guy who was like
I never saw that one.
caretaker of the lighthouse. I think
I
that's
want to
exactly
be. I
what
want to
he
be
did.
lighthouse caretaker in Greenland somewhere. That's what I want to do at this point for the next 10 years until all this shit goes away.
As close as we are to the neighbors, their situation, I mean, like, yeah, we're in a house. It's so much better than being in an apartment.
Good.
Like the landlord today was like, "Are you going to renew your lease next year?" And I talked to someone recently that made it sound like we could maybe get like $100, $150 cheaper in rent if we lived in an apartment. It's so worth it to not be in an apartment.
Yep.
Have
there
the
you
dog
go.
in the backyard, you know.
It's lovely. All right, so we know what we need to do for next week. Nick's going to
Yes.
tweak his pitch shifter.
Mm-hmm.
Eric's going to tell us you're going to work on making the on off
The
thing
light.
in the light in the patch, and
Yeah.
we have to work on more sketches
Yeah.
and think
Definitely
about
try to
implementing a
interpret some
score
of these
system
in
on
the
the
jam.
max patches or something.
say that again.
Implementing a score system on the max patches, potentially.
I think that we should decide on what images we're going to use first, and then
Okay. So just generate more ideas for imagery.
yeah,
Okay. Cool.
cool.
All right.
Thanks
see
for a
you
fun night, guys.
later.
Yeah.
Good night.
See ya.
Yeah.